Good evening and welcome to ITV News. This is Monday night's calendar.
Hello, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
Nothing has changed. The parents of murdered Yorkshire schoolboy Harvey Wilgoose say they fear for pupils when the new term begins.
I just think people aren't listening to us. We want knife archers in schools as soon as. This problem is massive.
Grab a jab. Health chiefs urge people to get vaccinated after our region sees a 5-fold increase in measles cases.
Up for the fight, Leeds aim to defy the bookies when their Premier League campaign kicks off in a couple of hours' time.
If I offered you 17th place now, would you take it?
That's a tough one. I suppose, well, yeah, I think, staying up is the main aim. It was the first year in the Premier League to maintain that status. I think that's the #1 goal.
And another brick in the wall, how to turn 1 million pieces of Lego into world-famous works of art. First tonight, parents of Harvey Wilgoose, the 15-year-old boy murdered by another pupil during his school lunch break, say they fear for the safety of children returning to lessons after the summer holidays.
Harvey was stabbed to death at All Saints Catholic High School in Sheffield back in February. His killer, also 15, attacked Harvey with a hunting knife he'd brought with him that morning. Since their son's death, Caroline and Mark Wilgoose have campaigned for knife archers in schools to stop it happening again.
Well, this CCTV footage shows Harvey's killer pushing him shortly before inflicting the fatal blow. Because of his age, he can't be identified, but now that he's convicted, Harvey's parents say he should be named.
Well, Caroline and Mark came into the studio a little earlier, and I began by asking them how they felt when Harvey's killer was found guilty of murder.
When they said that they got a verdict, I think we all just burst into tears before we'd even knew what had happened, but it's what we wanted.
It is what you wanted,
yeah.
And of course, since that verdict, we still don't know the name of the defendant, do we? And that's something that you feel very strongly about.
Yeah, because like I said, Harvey's had his name mentioned, he's had his name tarnished. People speculated that Harvey was a bully. Harvey wasn't a bully. The lad stood in the docks and said up until that weekend, Harvey was his friend, they were friends. Harvey was no bully. And that's one of the reasons why I want him to be named as well.
Mark, the next thing on the horizon is the start of the new school term. How are you feeling about what's changed since Harvey's death in terms of the provisions made at school?
I don't think much has changed really. We're pushing to make them changes, but at the moment nothing seems to have been done really.
How much does that concern you when you think about children going back?
Massively. I just think people aren't listening to us. We want knife archers in schools as soon as. This problem is massive, and like I've said loads of times before, ask your child, if you don't think that there's a problem, ask your child if they've ever known of anybody taking a knife into school.
Why are schools so reluctant, do you both think, to actually have knife archers
I
there?
think they're scared. I think if they say they'll have one, I think they're admitting that they've got a problem, and that's not the case. I think we need one school to accept one, to have one, and I think others will follow by example.
And you are pushing hard for change and you're doing what you can. I know Harvey's Hub is something that you've introduced. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
No, basically it's just we're providing, we're trying to get a youth club going called the Harvey's Hub, and it'd be something what Harvey would have enjoyed going to. We're trying to fight knife crime and, as Caroline says, knife archers in schools, but we also want to make a nice, safe environment where kids can come, enjoy themselves, and we're doing it all for free, and feeding them. And
we've done things in the summer, like we've got a teddy bears picnic next week. We've had soccer camps. We've got tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday soccer camp where they come 10 well too. We feed them, they absolutely love it. And we've got a gaming van coming down, we've got a pamper van coming down next week. Just trying to put things into the community for kids for Harvey's Hub. We've done a lot of fundraising for it.
Very difficult, though, I would think, for you to keep going and keep being so positive, and you are helping other people in that way, but how does it help you to keep going like that?
It does. It keeps his mind occupied, and we can see that, you know, we created a legacy for Harvey. And yeah.
Because it's tough, it's still very, very tough day to day, isn't it?
Massive, yeah.
It's worse now than it's ever been for us, to be honest. But we keep having these days, like we've got a big day on Sunday fundraising, Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United are playing, well they're not playing, but Harvey's friends' dads are playing and stuff. So things like that are keeping us going, organising stuff and doing things for kids.
The support you've had from the local community has been huge, hasn't it? How important's that been?
Yeah, massive. It really has. You know, we've got some good friends and family who and there's family struggling as well, and between us, we're looking after each other, and like I said, we've got good friends who are supporting us and making life bearable.
Finally, if you have a message for a young person who might be watching Calendar tonight, who might be thinking about taking a knife into school, what would you say?
Don't. There's no winners. There's no winner here.
Well, Caroline, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
That was Mark and Caroline Wilgoose speaking to us a little earlier, and of course we'll be following their ongoing campaign to tackle knife crime in schools.
You're watching Monday Night's Calendar with Sally Simpson and Ian White, and still to come before 6:30.
I'm in Ellen Road, where tonight Leeds United kick off life back in the Premier League with the visit of Everton.
And it's anything but kids stuff. We're at the Lego exhibition, turning the humble plastic brick into works of art.
Some more of the day's news now, and 3 men have been charged with murder after the drive-by shooting of a man in Wakefield. Dale Stogden, known as Brett, was shot dead on Doncaster Road near the BP petrol station last Tuesday night. Mark Carter, Adam Ahmed and Leighton Davis appeared at Leeds Magistrates Court earlier, charged with murder. West Yorkshire Police have asked anyone with information to contact them.
The fire officer in charge of an operation to tackle a major blaze in the North York Moors has thanked crews and control room staff for their work across the past 7 days. It broke out near RAF Filingdales on Langdale Moor near Pickering last Monday evening, and crews are still damping down. At its peak, 19 fire appliances were at the scene and a major incident was declared. Chief Officer Jonathan Dyson also thanked local farmers and gamekeepers who have assisted on the ground.
Planned strike action by staff at the National Coal Mining Museum will go ahead after talks to resolve the pay dispute broke down. Around 40 members of staff are due to walk out for 4 weeks starting on Wednesday. The museum is on the site of a former colliery near Wakefield. Union representatives say an improved pay offer failed to materialise. Managers have said they hope to keep parts of the museum open to visitors during the industrial action.
Parents are being encouraged to make sure their children are vaccinated against measles, as new figures show a sharp rise in cases in our region. Last year, the number of cases was more than 5 times higher than the year before.
Health experts say now is the best time to get the jab as it's not immediately effective, so getting it in the summer holidays will allow time before the new term for immunity to increase. James Webster reports.
Morning. Come and take a seat, love, please.
Ite's arrived at this clinic in Huddersfield for his MMR jab to protect him against measles, mumps and rubella.
Can you just confirm your full name and date of birth for me, darling?
And having it now means his body can build immunity before he goes back to school in September.
So what I'm going to give you today, you're going to have your first dose of your measles, mumps, rubella. It's never too late to get your vaccines. If a child does get measles, they can potentially need hospital treatment. It can be really serious, but also it's a disease that we think about in the past rather than in the future, and it's about getting that message across. It's still out there.
Health experts are particularly concerned about measles, which in extreme cases can be fatal. In Yorkshire and northern Lincolnshire, there were 167 cases confirmed last year, up from 30 the year before. Although there have only been 37 cases so far this year, children are more likely to get measles, and only 86% of 5-year-olds are fully vaccinated, which is below the 95% target.
How old were we then?
That's why the NHS is trying to get more children to vaccination clinics to catch up.
The nurses here have got lots of experience and we've got the time to make them feel at ease. A lot compare it to like a blood test, or I compare it to having their ears pierced. A lot of the young girls have got their ears pierced and I say it's nothing like that. It's just a sharp scratch and it's seconds, literally seconds.
Measles is passed on by coughs and sneezes and is highly contagious. It has 2 stages. The first begins with a fever, red watery eyes, a runny nose and a cough. A few days later, whitish spots can appear inside the mouth. The second stage starts 3 to 5 days later when a rash appears, and at that point a fever can reach up to 41 degrees Celsius. Relief for Ite that this injection means he'll be protected.
What did you feel, if anything?
Just a little sharp pain, and then that was kind of it.
So it just gives us peace of mind. If there is a pandemic, a measles breakout in the country, I know that my own kids are protected.
For the nurses here, every extra injection is another child protected and another increase in immunity levels in the community as a whole.
And James joins us now in the studio. James, what are health officials doing about this?
Well, you saw in my report there that clinic in Huddersfield. So those nurses are usually busy in term time giving vaccinations in schools. Holiday time, they've got a lot more time to run these catch-up clinics to invite parents to bring their children in. But that's just one thing they're doing. So they go out into the community as well. So they'll have a mobile van which goes out and about, parks in supermarket car parks. It's another way of reaching people to get those vaccinations for children. You saw Maureen and her son Ite there. She was actually going to take her 2 daughters just after we finished filming to one of those vans to get their jabs done as well. And it's just an illustration of one area and what's happening there to try to get immunity levels up, and it is really concerning for health officials. I've been asking the UK Health Security Agency just why take-up of the vaccination is so low.
So there are lots of factors that we think are probably contributing to that. Some of it is about people perhaps not remembering quite how severe a disease measles can be, but a lot of it has to do with practical matters. It's about how easy people find it to get their children and other people in their household vaccinated. And there's no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic had quite a disruptive effect on vaccination services, and to some extent we're still recovering from that now.
Why is this time of year in particular good for getting a vaccine while we're in the middle of the summer holidays?
So it's really important to think about vaccination now, because when kids come back to school for the beginning of the school year, the likelihood of infection spreading during that time of the year tends to increase. And it's a good time too, because people will be going overseas on holiday. And we know that measles is circulating elsewhere. So big outbreaks have been reported in Europe and in some other parts of the world already this year.
And what would you say to parents who, rightly or wrongly for whatever reason, haven't had their children vaccinated?
So vaccination is really important for protecting both your child, but other people in the community as well who may not be able to get protection through vaccination themselves. So I think my advice to parents would be that if you have any concerns, do get in touch with a health professional and have a chat to them about what the disease is, what the vaccine is, and the benefits that it can bring.
Yeah, so a message of reassurance there, and also trying to get parents to bring their children in, saying it really is never too late. They would have actually checked my vaccination status if I'd have asked them, and as an adult I'd have still been offered a vaccination if I'd needed one. Without immunity levels increasing, they say the chances of an outbreak of measles is much higher. We had a large one in Leeds last year. They really want to avoid that if there is any chance of them doing so, because the consequences of measles can be really severe.
OK, James, thanks very much. Some very useful information there. Thank you.
Now, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30 after calendar. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, President Zelensky and European leaders meet Donald Trump for the next stage of peace talks. Here, a warning that the hot weather is pushing up the price of fruit and vegetables. And Downton Abbey bids a fond farewell with its final chapter by offering the chance to own a piece of TV history. Well, join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thanks, Mary. OK, time for some sport now, and a big night down at Elland Road.
Yes, after promotion from the Championship last season, Leeds United kick off their Premier League campaign at home to Everton.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Well, Chris is at Elland Road for us this evening. Chris, great to see Leeds back in the big time.
Yes, Sally, Leeds fans will tell you it's back where they belong. I think it's fair to say that Leeds were simply too good for the Championship last season. The Premier League, though, well, that's a completely different proposition. The gulf between those two divisions has never been bigger, highlighted by the fact that over the past 2 seasons, the 3 teams who've been promoted from the Championship have gone straight back down a year later. The challenge for Leeds, then, to buck that trend. Huge celebrations on the streets of Leeds back in May, but after the smoke had disappeared, the reality of the road ahead soon became clear. The last 6 teams promoted to the Premier League have gone straight back down within a year. The aim for Leeds and manager Daniel Farke, simply to stay up.
Without any doubt, the Premier League is the toughest league in the world, and for that, in order to be successful there, everything has to be spot on. So everyone in the club, the recruitment is more like the work, the quality work. You have to be spot on, and not just for 1 or 2 weeks or 1 or 2 months. You have to show this with consistency.
Well, Leeds have bolstered their ranks with 8 new signings, over £70 million spent on reinforcements. Pre-season has gone well, they're unbeaten, but fullback Sam Byram knows that will count for little when the whistle blows tonight.
We've had some real tough tests in pre-season against top opposition. I think we've shown that we can compete and get the better of them sorts of teams. It's going to be a tough season. We're not underestimating the challenge, but everyone in there is confident, and we have belief in the squad and the team, the manager and the staff, that we can achieve our goals. If I offered you 17th place now, would you take it? That's a tough one. I suppose. Well, yeah, I think staying up is the main aim. Obviously, the inner competitiveness in me and everyone in the squad. We want to finish as high as we can. But as a first year in the Premier League, to maintain that status, I think that's the #1 goal.
The demand to watch Leeds has never been greater. There's over 26,000 people simply on a waiting list for season tickets. The club has ambitious plans to increase Elland Road's capacity. Premier League money is a necessity to fund such a project. So to build, the team needs to establish strong Premier League foundations.
It's a club who belongs into the Premier League. It's a club with a fan base second to none. Everyone is speaking about the potential and about a sleeping giant. Yes, and that's fully true. But if we are really honest, the good times are already over since more than 2 decades. I want to make sure that this club stays for good, and hopefully in a few years also an established Premier League side.
Leeds made history last season, winning a club record 100 points. The truth is, half that total in the Premier League this campaign would prove a far greater achievement.
Yes, Chris, it looks like they've got a tough season ahead, no doubt about it. But let's talk about tonight's game at home to Everton. How are they going to get on?
Well, Ian, I suppose you could describe this as something of a gentle reintroduction to the Premier League for Leeds United. Everton are, in fact, the team who've spent more time in English football's top division than any other in the entire country. But over the last few years, they've been perennial relegation battlers. So Leeds fans should be looking to get something from this tonight. We spoke to a few of them a little earlier.
I'm expecting a 3-1 win. A
big win. We're just coming into the Premier League now, and I think we're going to make a statement. Yeah, definitely.
Looking forward to it, mate. To be honest, we've got Everton at home, first game of the season. They've signed quite a few players up front. I'm a little bit worried. They've got Grealish and Dewsbury Hall. I love both of them, but I think we'll dominate midfield. Tanaka, Stark, Ampadu. I think we'll run the game quite easily, to be honest, today.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a win tonight. Feeling confident. Promotion was great, wasn't it? And everyone had a fun time, so time to crack on now and really get the wheels in motion. See if we can get established down it.
OK, Chris. Well, let's look back on this weekend's action now, and more supporter unrest at Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right, Sally. There were more protests outside Hillsborough against Sheffield Wednesday owner Dave Chansiri and his running of the club. Now, over 1,000 fans turned out at Hillsborough Park ahead of Wednesday's first home game of the season on Saturday. Some carried a coffin to symbolise what they fear might be the death of the club under Chansiri's ownership. we've all got to do what we can do. You know, we're at a crisis. You know, our club is at one of the worst points in its history. It's one of its lowest points. And we've all got to step up and do whatever we can do to be able to chip in.
I have to come past this stadium every day and I see what he's doing to the club. And I thought, no, I can't just sit there and not do anything. If we don't take a stand, he's just going to keep making our club and destroying it. And that's what he's done. And it's just breaking my heart. It's making me depressed. I'm constantly on social media scrolling. And it's just not good for my mental health at all.
Well, as for matters on the pitch, defeats for both Sheffield clubs, but Bradford maintained their impressive start to the season with a 2-1 win over Luton. Elsewhere, Mansfield picked up their first league win of the season, 2-1 at Exeter. And Chesterfield are 3 wins from 3 in League Two following a 3-1 victory over Bristol Rovers. Some rugby league now, and the Leeds Rhinos were our only winners in Super League, thrashing West Yorkshire rivals Castleford by 64 points to 6. And finally from me, the Women's Rugby World Cup, that's Rugby Union, gets underway this Friday. Now, York's Community Stadium will be hosting 6 matches, and today the New Zealand team visited a school in the city. It might be the summer holidays, but a few kids turned up at Westfield Community Primary to get a lesson in throwing a rugby ball.
Oh, it's beautiful here. We've been maybe a bit too touristy lately, going around to see all the beautiful buildings that you guys have here. So, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and the people are very welcoming. It's a really cool place for our first destination to come to. So the girls have been out exploring the city and what it's to offer. So, yeah, very cool.
Well, we'll have more on that World Cup later in the week, and we'll have the action and reaction from here at Ellen Road tonight on Calendar tomorrow.
Thanks very much indeed, Chris, live at Ellen Road for us tonight anyway. Thank you very much indeed. And of course the result on our late bulletin. Now finally, if you're a bit of a dab hand with Lego bricks, then a new exhibition in Leeds takes it to a whole new level.
Yes, the art of the brick recreates some of the world's most famous cultural masterpieces in plastic. And it's already pulled in the crowds in Paris, Milan and New York.
Here's Fraser Maud.
What do you get if you take more than 1 million little plastic bricks and let a former New York City lawyer play with them for months? Well, you get this, The Art of the Brick, an exhibition of over 70 sculptures that transport you from the oceans to the jungles, from the surreal to the truly beautiful, transforming one of the world's favourite toys into incredible works of art. All of the exhibits hand-built over thousands of hours to create the artistic vision of a man who loves his Lego.
Some pieces I do over the course of a few days, some take a few weeks, and some have taken a few months. As I'm working, I am actually gluing each individual Lego brick into place. So it's a very slow process. You have to have patience for this job. And if I make a mistake, I have to use a hammer and chisel to tear it apart.
One of the first to see the exhibition in Leeds is Lisa Foster. She started playing with Lego to help her physiotherapy for arthritis. Now she's hooked.
My husband just keeps buying me more and more, and I've got about 4 sets still to build, and he just bought me another one yesterday. So, yeah.
You love your Lego?
I love my Lego.
It's amazing. It really is. I mean, the underwater, the water features are absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of nice to see the things that you've seen for real, you know, like the Venus de Milo, the Scream, and the Kiss. When you've seen them real and you look at that, you think, my word, have you done a good job or what?
And the beauty of a toy that's been around for decades, it appeals to all ages.
It's a really cool place.
Which has been your favourites?
Probably the sea creatures.
I think it's brilliant. Well worth every penny to come and see it, because the models are so lifelike.
My favourite of the exhibition has been the orca and how they've managed to almost put it in the water in some of the sets.
I think it's really cool. I really like the Lego. My favourite was the elephants though.
But it seems not everyone is singing its praises. It's not until you get close up to these works of art that you realise just how much work has gone into them. Makes you think, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Rude. The exhibition has been seen by over 10 million people worldwide, and now it's Yorkshire's turn.
I think an exhibition like this is something Leeds was missing, and I think it's missing in the north in general as well. I think it's really important to bring immersive events, bring exhibitions, bring art spaces, and make it accessible for everybody in the north.
So if you've got a few 100,000 Lego pieces knocking around at home and a few years on your hands, you could always come down for some inspiration. Fraser Maud, ITV News, Leeds.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? Were you a Lego fan
I was a Lego fan. I had a Lego train. It was brilliant.
You need lots of patience, don't you? And I know if you stand on one, it blooming hurts, that's for sure.
Certainly does. Right, let's get the weather, shall we? Here's James.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello there, good evening. It's been a bit of a disappointing start to the week. We were hoping for a bit more in the way of brightness. At least the rest of the week is set to be mainly dry and settled, although we could do with a bit of rain. If there's any chance of brightness, it's generally going to be in the west. And of course, it's also going to feel a little bit cooler than it has done. We do have a little feature that's going to be drifting down from the north through tomorrow. This little cold front might have a little bit of drizzle on it, but more importantly, it's got much fresher air behind it. The dew point's going to really fall into low single digits. What that means is even if the underlying temperature is okay, it's actually going to feel a little bit on the fresh side. Add in that northerly flow of air, and like I say, at least by Thursday, I think it's going to feel positively fresh. As far as tonight goes, a bit more cloud starting to spill in on top of all the cloud we've already had today. It means that by the end of the night, we do get a bit of insulation, so it's not going to be particularly chilly, looking at lows around 14 and 15 Celsius. Of course, the North Sea is relatively mild at this time of year. And then tomorrow, it's sort of rinse and repeat compared to today. Hoping for a bit more in the way of brightness, but can't guarantee it. And of course, later on in the day, you start to see that cold front drifting down from the north. That might produce a little bit of light rain or drizzle as we head through tomorrow evening. But ahead of that, we're looking at cooler temperatures than even today. Highs of around 17 or 18 Celsius, 19 if you're lucky. As far as Wednesday goes, once that front moves through, that should scrape away a lot of the cloud, so generally brighter, particularly further west. Little bit of a feed on the shore from the cloud, but then, like I say, Thursday, feeling distinctly chilly.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
And there we are. That's just about all from Calendar for tonight. But I will be back with our late news at 10:45.
Thanks very much for joining us. Mary's next. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Good night.